What's the best way of running a business? Should you work individually or should you work in a team? If you work in a team, how do you handle the other people on it? And either way, how do you handle talking to suppliers and customers? How do you communicate with them? Making your business a success will mean that you're going to come into contact with loads of different people. Have a think about what different groups of people any business interacts with. This could include the people working in the business itself and its customers, as well as suppliers. Is there anyone else you can think of that you might have to deal with in your business? You're going to have to communicate with these people in loads of different ways too. Which groups of people will you meet face to face? Who will you end up phoning? Which sets of people will you be contacting online? And will all your interactions with them be positive? What happens if one of your customers complains? Or if someone on your team doesn't pull their weight? How will you handle that situation?
It's not good. Guys, don't get to work.
What about negotiating deals? Will you be aggressive and insist on getting a good deal even if it annoys the other person? Or will you go more softly and try to agree a compromise that everyone is happy with? Think of times you've worked in a team before, maybe in a sports team or even a band. What went well and what went wrong? What would you change next time? And think about a major argument you've had with someone. Could it have been diffused? What about some business that you bought something off recently? What impressed you about the way they dealt with you? And what about a company that you were unhappy with? Did you complain? How did they handle your complaint? What did you tell your friends about them afterwards? Was it positive or negative? So how will you make sure your business goes smoothly? It might sound a bit obvious to say that good communication skills and good people skills are good for business. But what does that really mean in practice? Communication isn't just about making sure you talk to the other people on your team, or even about having positive body language. It's about what you talk about and how you make decisions too. And people skills isn't just about getting on with each other. It's about much more than that and includes how you deal with your customers and suppliers when you're doing business. The whole teamwork thing is one of the most common things you hear business people, and especially managers, talking about. It can go a bit far sometimes, with lots of weird team building days and that kind of thing. But basically, it boils down to getting a group of people together that can work well as a team and make a business a success. As you'll see in the workbook, different people have different skills and talents. Some people like to work as a team and some prefer to work individually. Whatever you decide for your own business, it's important to make sure that a whole range of skills are included in your business, from production skills through to management skills. And make sure you know who's doing what. There's nothing worse than two people getting confused over their roles.
Hi, we're Quench Patrol!
Well, I suppose the main skills that were learned was communication. There was a lot of communication between students and what they wanted on the product and with the manufacturer on what we wanted. And we learned skills like how to market the product, which is the most effective way, and learning what people wanted.
My name is Aideen O'Reilly and I'm in Real Event Solutions, an event management company. Teamwork is hugely important in events. You can't do an event unless you have a team that work very well and that work very closely, and the better team you have, the better the event is going to be. As well as that, once you have a team in place, you've got to assign them roles and then just trust that they're going to do it. We're very lucky as a company and we have a fantastic team. But you know, you have to work at your team as well, and for example, we would have weekly meetings, we would have conference calls, because a lot of our team members might be in various different parts of the country leading up to an event, and we all go, right, okay, you know what you're doing, this is what's happening. And as well as that, we have a lot of different events going on at the same time, and everyone needs to know what's going on so that, you know, we all know what's happening.
These days, communication takes loads of different forms, from face-to-face to text messages to email to online. All these forms of communication have their own styles. But remember that communicating with suppliers and customers has different rules from communicating with your friends. It's best to ask clients if it's okay to text them before you go ahead and do it, because they might think you're trying to avoid talking to them. And make sure you're very clear when you're talking to them. The last thing you want to do is do a deal at the wrong price by accident. Running a business can be pretty stressful, and sometimes arguments and disagreements happen. This can be very negative and have a destructive effect on the bottom line of the business. It might even lead to your team falling apart, and that's never a good thing. So if you do find yourself in an argument, it's useful to try and sort it out instead of making it worse. And if you think there are tensions simmering, it might be no harm to try and talk them through to avoid the argument going nuclear.
That's not a good enough excuse.
Just get to work.
Guys,
Get to work.
Guys, we don't have a lot of time. Come on.
We're busy.
There's no point in wasting time arguing.
There are a few simple ways to help diffuse an argument. Listen to the other person. Sometimes people just want to be heard. Remember, you don't have to agree with them, just hear their point of view. If you're not happy about something someone's done, then tell them you didn't like that particular thing. Don't give out about the person themselves, because they'll definitely take it personally then. When you are making your point, start your sentences with the word I instead of you. This sounds weird, but it means that you're going to cause less offense. For example, if you say, I don't think the product works perfectly, it's going to be taken a lot more constructively than saying you didn't make the product right. And finally, focus on trying to make things work out better in the future. There's not much point in going over problems in the past when you need everyone to try to work better in the future and make the business a success. Negotiating is one of those skills that people find hard to define. We often say someone is a good negotiator if they haggle and get a discount when they're buying something. But negotiation is about much more than that too. It's about reaching agreement on all sorts of things. For example, you'll probably do a bit of negotiation with your team when you're all trying to agree on a business idea. Some people think that you have to be hard-nosed to be a good negotiator and get a good deal, but it doesn't have to be like that. Different people have different negotiation styles. These styles vary from being very aggressive and unwilling to compromise, through to people who want to do a deal that is good for both sides, and even includes people who hate the tension of negotiating and want to do a deal as quickly as possible, even if they lose out. The way you negotiate will depend on who you're dealing with. Obviously, if you're selling something to a customer, then you want to get the best price possible for it. And you'll also want to do a deal in a way that means they might come back for more. But if you're the one that's buying from a supplier, then you've a bit more power. They're looking for your business and you can push things a bit harder.
Right, is that the best price you can give me?
Either way, you'll need to prepare before you start negotiating and make sure you know what result you want to get. One of the more successful routes to a negotiation is to look for a win-win deal that both sides are happy with. You can prepare for this kind of negotiation beforehand by thinking about what kind of deal you think you can reach, that you'd both be happy with. The word if is the most important word you can use to make sure you get something in return for doing the deal. For example, you can offer people discounts if people buy more than one product.
Well, they're $9.99.
Okay. Would I be able to get a deal if I wanted to buy 2 or 3 maybe?
You can get 3 for 2 for €20.
3 for 2.
Keeping your customers happy is key to the success of your business. If your customers become annoyed with you, then they're very likely to tell everyone they know about their bad experience, and that could spell disaster for your business. The flip side of this is that if your customers are happy, they'll tell people too, just not as many. This all means that it's very important to make sure your customers are happy after all their interactions with you. This can involve simple things like being friendly with them when you first make contact, through to delivering the product or service to them when they expect it. And if a customer does make a complaint, even if you think they're being a bit unreasonable, try and diffuse the complaint and make sure they leave happy. This can sometimes be done by simply listening to them and giving a refund or an exchange.
This one has a bit of a chip there.
I don't know how that happened. Would you like an exchange?
Sure, the white one, The white one will do,
This can often be money well spent because it means the complaint is resolved quickly. That way, you can concentrate on getting new customers instead of dealing with the complaint for ages. Making your business a success will mean that all your people skills and communication skills will be pushed to their limits. You'll need to make sure your team works well together and that it's organised to make the most out of everyone's skill set. And everyone on the team will have to communicate with each other to make sure you're all working towards the same goal, and don't do things twice or get in each other's way. But it might not always be easy. You might disagree with one of your teammates, or one of your suppliers might not deliver on time. If that happens, you'll need to handle the situation carefully and maybe even diffuse an argument or two. Being sensitive to other people's emotions and staying calm under pressure are very important skills in the business world. And you'll have to negotiate over money too. You'll want your suppliers to give you a good value for money deal, and ideally a discount on their normal price. And you might need to negotiate with your customers to make sure you can charge a good price for your product or service. After all, you need to maximize your profits. These people and communication skills come in useful across all aspects of the business, from getting production right to making sales. Every aspect of your business is interlinked. For example, if your production doesn't go right and you miss your deadlines, you're going to have a lot of explaining to do to your customers. So if you take the time to get a handle on these people skills early on, your business is much more likely to do well, and you'll have less stress.
Good work, guys.
Yeah. Job well done.